Hi, my name's Rob Ryder. I'm speaking out of Penzance in West Cornwall, England. And this is the book you may have seen before, A Conscious Humanity, Morality, Freedom and Natural Law by myself and Patrick Quanton. I just want to do one bit of information tonight, which is focusing on the nature of reality and how we experience it. There's a lot of what I believe is nonsense out there. And I just want to go through my understanding of how reality works, how we process information, and how we create this experience. This should hopefully clear some things up, hopefully. So hopefully the light will allow you to see that. So if you're there in the center with reality, so reality is the environment around you, the objective reality. We do not create our own reality, which I'll come to in a second. So reality is the information around you in your environment. It comes into your system and it gets processed. That processing will put some kind of meaning onto that information, and that meaning will then generate a behavior, and that behavior comes back out into the world and creates the reality. And it's a circular motion. Reality comes in, gets processed, creates a behavior, and again goes back into the reality, and it creates a collective experience that we all experience. So the first thing then to see is we do not create our own reality. This is a lot of the stuff that people are saying. There is no reality, only the reality that's created in our minds. If I was to put a tarantula on a table and ask 100 different people to pass through the room and look at that table, 100 people would say that is a tarantula, which means objective reality actually exists. It exists. It may, at its root form, be just vibration, but we translate that into a tarantula. It is a tarantula. You haven't created that tarantula with your mind. How you perceive that tarantula is what happens in your mind. If you see that as a fearful thing, as a curious thing, as a non-entity, it's not really important to you. How you perceive it, yeah, that happens in your mind. But the tarantula exists. It's objective reality. We live in a reality that we're part of. We're an aspect of that reality. And we process the incoming information from the reality. So that creates a movement. Cause and effect. Movement is life. Without movement, there is no life. Movement is life. So a lot of people say, like I say, we create our own reality when we clearly don't. I haven't seen anyone who could come past that table and say they don't see a tarantula. Again, they might have a different experience of that tarantula, but they still see a tarantula. I've never known anyone to be able to put themselves in a meditative state and walk into a lamppost and not bang their head. So if somebody can do that, I'm happy to change my mind. But as I've never seen that, I've got no evidence of that, this secret book of the secret, we create our own reality, and a lot of the new age people say we create our own reality. All I can say that is not based on anything whatsoever. There is an objective reality, an actual reality that exists. We process it and we create our perception of an actual reality. So there are a lot of new age people as well as saying, I'm just an observer. None of this has got anything to do with me. I'm just an observer. So if I put this back up, at the center spot of you, yeah, you can sit back, detach, and observe reality and how it functions and how you function and the role you're playing in it. But let's be absolutely clear. You're participating in that physically every step of the way. You're participating. Reality is not a spectator sport. Yeah. Now, for me, people who go down this road of I create my own reality, I'm just an observer. These people cannot deal with the reality that's in front of them. This global fascist agenda, they cannot deal with it. They can't process evil and accept that's happening in this world, so they just dismiss it. Nothing to do with me, nothing to do with me. If you can do that and not take part in the process of building the fascist dictatorship, if you found a way, then that's fine. But again, I'll challenge anyone to go on a foreign holiday, meditate, detached, be an observer of reality, and walk through passport control and not have to show your passport. Yeah? You will have to. So that's participating in some kind of control system. We're all participating in life. Life is this collective experience of humanity. The human experience is a collective experience of all these lives coming together, behaving a certain way. Yes, we are observing, and part of the book is to get people to observe their own life. But nothing at all changes in the actual world until behavior changes. Nothing. You can't meditate your way into a better world. This is some other thing these people say. Well, you can change your vibration and you're going to a world that's more compatible to you, another universe where there's another version of you, and there's infinite universes. Well, that's probably theoretically possible, but if every version of you already exists, why would you want to go into another universe? Because you're already there. And if you leave a space behind yourself, then it has to be filled by another you. So again, it's more nonsense, more rubbish. Let's deal with the actual reality that we're in. And we might be here just for a reason. Yeah? Deal with it. It's behavior change. Now, the people that control this planet understand this more than any of us, because the psychologists at heart, the occult psychology. This simple little diagram here is probably the most occulted knowledge there is. According to Mark Passio, it's the occulted knowledge at the top of the control system. How to create behavior in human beings. Yeah? So you have the reality and the experience that we're in. They can control that to an extent. Yeah, even now, to an extent, they can control the weather. They can't completely control the outside world, but they can decide to go to war. They can decide there's going to be a financial crash. They can decide that there's going to be some invisible agent going around making people ill. They can make these decisions about the environment. Then through how they deliver that information through the media, education, etc., they can put a spin on it, to sell that information to you in a certain way. If ever anyone remembers the old War of the Worlds radio program, when nothing was actually happening in the real world, but the actor was so convincing, Orson Welles I think it was, that people thought there was an actual alien invasion and calling the police, going hysterical, and nothing was happening. All it was the way that information was given to people that put a belief system into their minds that made them behave a certain way and created that reality of an alien invasion when there wasn't nothing happening. Sounds familiar? The last couple of years? So they can control a lot of reality by creating wars, economic crashes, etc. So they can have a way to put spin on the information that comes into your mind. That, if they get it right, can create beliefs. And don't forget, they're instilling beliefs in you from 3-4-year-old at school. That's why they want you to get into school early, because that's the first 6-7 years is when your mind is just absorbing information and creating subconscious programs so it can react to reality. That's all it's doing. The younger they get you in school, the more of these programs they can create. This creates the behavior they want, which builds the reality they want. The people who are trying to break out of that, they can have censorship in reality. We all know the mass censorship that's taking place at the moment. So the incoming information can be spun. Anyone getting truth out, they can spin that, call them a conspiracy theorist, or they can just purely censor it. Anyone who's trying to get new belief systems because they're trying to objectively look at things and make their own minds up, well, again, you'll get censored. You won't get on the news. You'll get deplatformed. You won't be able to teach this stuff in educational places, schools, colleges. So they'll censor any new belief systems because that will create a new perception. And here, if you believe something that different is happening than what you're told, you'll behave differently. The point of behavior, though, is where the violence comes in. The whole system is based on the threat of violence or actual violence. So they haven't been able to censor everything. They haven't been able to spin all the information, and they haven't been able to control your thinking. So what have they got left? Well, it's those dogs of war, I think they call them, called police, or even soldiers if you're on a national level, international level. The police, first you'll get threats, so you get letters off council, government, etc., whatever, through not complying to the behavior they want. If again you decide to make your own mind up, behave in the way you see fit for you, or just take the moral path and decide what is morally right, the threats come in, the fines. They'll take this away, they'll coerce you, they'll take that away. But ultimately, it all ends in the threat of violence. They will physically come for you, pin you down, and throw you in prison. Or more. We know they'll beat you, torture, everything. It all ends in a threat of violence. They don't want us to create our own reality, our own experience as human beings. So they try and block every way. It's a global mafia. All government is based on this. This is how governments work, with the threat of violence for people who don't comply to the behavior that they want. That's how you build the fascistic state. So the only step here is, this is the important step. You've made up your own mind. You've processed the information. You've got more of a you're closer to the actual truth, shall we say, and you want to behave in the moral way. That's when you have choices to make. There's going to be serious consequences. If we want to create a new reality, we have to behave in the moral way. We have to take our minds back first. They don't want that. And again, this is very cleared off. You can read that through the light. If you want more freedom, you have to behave more morally. It's a collective experience. We're not creating our own individual reality. We can create our own paths through the collective reality. But ultimately, the more freedom you want, the more moral you have to behave. The more morality in the collective, the more freedom. That's how it works. That is how it works. So to say you're an observer, it's not good enough. Not good enough. If you're an observer, but you're acting morally, okay, fair enough. But I don't believe it's possible. There's too many threats out there. I don't believe anybody is just acting the way they feel they should. You'll either be in prison or you'll be dead. I don't believe that. And the only way that can be done is if the collective start to do it. So bit by bit, we have to take our freedoms back by acting morally. Doing the right thing. What is correct for yourself and correct for your community. There's no other way. You can't sit back and be an observer and just hope things will get better and think you're not playing a part in that. Yeah? We can't meditate our way out of this. This is the New Age nonsense that is pushed from these people who control this circle of reality. They're controlling that because the last thing they want is people to physically manifest moral behavior. The New Age doesn't ask you to do that. It asks you to meditate yourself out of your problems, or just be an observer of reality because you're here to learn lessons. Anyone who physically cannot manifest moral behavior, that means they're based in fear. The New Age is supposed to be about love or fear. They want to go into this vibration of love, so they claim. But if you cannot manifest that into what you know is morally right behavior, then that's all just BS. You're living in fear. Simple as that. No debate, no argument. You are living in fear if you haven't got the courage to manifest morally right behavior. You can't do it 100% at the moment because we're all slaves, but you can start to speak out. You can pick your battles. You can just strap on a pair, as they say. Yeah? We're not going to meditate our way out of this. This is how the world functions as we know it. This is the biggest secret that the elite keep from us. How to control behavior, therefore reality. We cannot change objective reality, but we can create our experience within it. We can impact reality. I can cut down a tree, make it into some furniture or a log cabin, but I cannot create the tree. I cannot create the furniture or the log cabin out of my mind. There is an objective reality. I'll have to repeat that. There is an objective reality that we're a part of. We're not separate to it. We're part of it, and we can impact it. But what we do create is our experience in that reality, and it's a simple choice. Do you want to be free, or do you want to be a slave? And in the end, slavery is a choice as well. But the only thing that will get us out of this is the moral behavior and this need for freedom from a certain percentage of the collective. If you think as two energy fields, freedom and slavery, which one are you going to feed with your behavior? Simple as that. Simple as that. Moral people will not stand for fascism against themselves or against the community. Simple as that. The system we live in is immoral, completely run by immoral people, and all the people in uniform enforce it. Only when there's a good amount of people who are taking the moral stance in society will we ever get out of this mess. The first thing people need to do is take back their own minds. And this is how, by observing, I'm hoping you can see this in the light, by observing how you behave yourself. And this is the point of the book with me and Patrick. So we can observe our own behavior, observe this process. Yeah. Once you've observed it, you can start to make the necessary changes that you feel are more in balance for yourself, for your community, and will create a better society. Thank you.